It's Sunday, February 2nd. The New York Times has some really good stuff today in its opinion section. Columnist David French wrote an article today called Kash Patel is a Warning Shot. And just imagine this. 2 FBI agents are at your door. Their faces are grim. You invite them in because you work for the Pennsylvania Secretary of State. You realize why they're there. The agents explain that they have just a few questions about the 2020 election. Puzzled, you agree to talk. The agents pull binders out of their bags and begin grilling you. They want to know with precision where you were and what you did beginning the moment the polls closed on November 3rd, 2020. The conversation is difficult. They press you on the details, but your memory of those weeks is not as good as it once was. They catch you in a contradiction and your heart starts to beat faster. Wait, you think, well, they think I just lied? Isn't it a crime to lie to the FBI? The agents start to press you even harder. Every part of you is aware of the danger. You realize you need a lawyer, but you're a normal middle-class American. You don't have a legal team at the ready. But you haven't done anything wrong. All you did was help monitor and oversee the vote count. So you try to reset the conversation, you take a deep breath, and slowly describe the process as best you remember it. After they leave, you walk through the conversation again. You realize they were trying to pin you down, that yes, you had a role in counting votes. They were very intent on establishing that you did help finalize the Pennsylvania vote tallies in 2020. Late that night, after you've run the conversation through your mind again and again, a realization jolts you awake. You are about to be prosecuted for crimes that you did not commit. There's a challenge in writing about the absurdity of nominating Kash Patel as FBI director. There are so many reasons he is a dangerous choice to run the nation's most powerful law enforcement agency that I have trouble picking his worst qualities. Do I highlight his commitment to conspiracy theories? He still won't acknowledge that Joe Biden won the 2020 election, and he believes that the FBI helped trigger the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. As Thomas Jocelyn and Norm Eisen reported in The Bulwark, love The Bulwark, Patel asked on his podcast for the Epoch Times, what was the FBI doing planning January 6th for a year? He has also pushed the thoroughly debunked conspiracy theory that a man named Ray Epps was allowed to encourage and incite a riot in and around some of the events of January 6th as a government employee. He's not a government employee. Or should I highlight his vindictiveness? He wrote a book called Government Gangsters that includes a list of 60 people who he calls a cabal of unelected tyrants. He posted an animated video online that portrays him as a lumberjack sawing through a log, except the log contains images of his political opponents, including Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, as George Thorogood's Bad to the Bone plays in the background. And he's not just threatening members of the government. He told Donald Trump Jr., the legacy media has been proven to be the criminal co-conspirators of the government gangsters. In December 2023, he told Steve Bannon, we're going to come after the people in media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly. We'll figure that out. Or do I highlight his association with far-right extremists? He was a guest on the podcast of Stu Peters, a Holocaust minimizer and vaccine conspiracist, 8 times. And while he claimed during his confirmation hearing that he doesn't know who Stu Peters is, he repeatedly praised Peters during his podcast appearances, telling him, you've got a great show, always love coming on your show. As Andrew Egger reported in The Bulwark, one of the podcast episodes Patel appeared on was called, and this is real, Vaxxed Mind Control? Zombies advocate for World War III with Russia to save Zelensky's fake democracy. Or do I highlight his extreme devotion to Donald Trump? After all, he actually wrote a series of children's books celebrating King Donald, who prevails against three terrible plots: the Russia investigation, the 2020 election, and clashes with Department of Justice with the help of a mighty wizard named Kash. That's right. And if you would like to see me read two of those books dramatically next to a fire in my fireplace, you can find those on my YouTube page. Please click the link in my link tree and subscribe to my YouTube page. It's free. Thank you. The degree of loyalty to a president is this degree of loyalty to a president is highly unusual in the FBI. As Garrett Graff wrote in December in a Times Opinion guest essay, directors in turn usually go out of their way to demonstrate clear independence from the presidents who appoint them. Graff pointed to the example of Louis Freeh, who was so tested during Clinton scandals that the two men weren't even on speaking terms, and Mr. Freeh turned in his White House pass to avoid even the appearance of familiarity with the president. That's not the case with Kash Patel. No one doubts where his loyalties lie, but there's a problem with simply listing Patel's scandals and crackpot ideas. They actually underestimate the scale of the threat Patel presents to American law enforcement and American justice. He's no ordinary public official. He would be occupying what is by design one of the most powerful offices in the United States, and he won't be working alone. In fact, the things that repel and worry so many Americans about Kash Patel are the very things that attract so many millions of Republicans to Trump. Members of Trump's movement would read my list above and applaud each entry. That's what makes Patel a hero to the MAGA movement, and that's what will help him fit seamlessly into the culture of a Trump White House. Patel will have an enormous amount of unchecked power. FBI directors have a high degree of autonomy. They have 10-year terms, and traditionally, directors serve across more than one presidential administration. The FBI can initiate investigations on its own authority. Patel will be able to pick his own senior team, and usually neither the Attorney General nor the Deputy Attorney General tends to micromanage the director of the FBI. That means that Patel could, in fact, send FBI agents to the homes of election workers, former members of the government who participated in the Mueller investigation into Russian interference in 2016, or anyone else that Patel personally decides is an enemy of Donald Trump's. Even if charges aren't ultimately filed, an FBI investigation can be ruinous financially, and the stress can be catastrophic. That's exactly why a well-functioning FBI doesn't open investigations lightly, much less for purely political reasons. Worse, the checks that do exist are already crumbling. We cannot look at Patel in isolation. He'll ostensibly be supervised by Trump's pick for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who is also a 2020 election denier. She was one of Trump's principal advocates in Pennsylvania. She was even at Four Seasons Total Landscaping in 2020 and helped, according to Sky News, rearrange the company's landscaping equipment before the infamous Rudy Giuliani news conference. She also declared, "We are not going anywhere until they declare Trump won Pennsylvania," and said that fake ballots were coming in late to steal the election from Trump. Oh, and she's already defending Patel by denying that he even has an enemies list. It's published in his book. It's an appendix to his book. At her confirmation, she did say, "Mr. Patel would fall under me in the Department of Justice, and I will ensure that all laws are followed, and so will he." But given her history, those words are cold comfort. In theory, federal prosecutors can also rein in FBI excesses. The FBI depends on U.S. attorneys to prosecute its cases, and ethical attorneys could refuse to engage in meritless, politically motivated prosecutions. But that guardrail is also collapsing. The Trump administration's decision to fire all of the prosecuting attorneys involved in the cases brought by special counsel Jack Smith against Donald Trump represent a breach of laws protecting federal employees from politically motivated terminations. And they send a signal to prosecutors that they have but one choice to make if they want to keep their jobs: comply with the president's demands, no matter their ethics or legality. I'll insert one thing right here. The Supreme Court's immunity decision applies to the president. It does not apply to any other member of the executive branch who can be criminally prosecuted for actions they take during Trump's second term. Trump's FBI also moved to replace several senior leaders even before Patel's confirmation. This was a break with past precedent and sends the same chilling message. In Trump's second term, loyalty is everything. That's what he demanded from James Comey, and James Comey kind of, sort of said no in a mealy-mouthed, wimpy way. And then he was fired. Patel's nomination also raises serious national security concerns. The FBI's counterintelligence function means that the FBI director is not only privy to highly classified information, he also works closely with allies to help maintain our mutual security obligations. Imagine you're the equivalent of the FBI director, or you're in intelligence for, the UK, France, Germany, Australia, and you have to meet with Kash Patel, who looks like a bug-eyed possum. We can't forget that Trump's second CIA director, Gina Haspel, threatened to resign in 2020 rather than accept Patel as her deputy director. In his book, Bill Barr, who served as Trump's attorney general for the second half of his first term, said that Trump suggested that Patel be named FBI director at the end of his term, and Barr said that would happen over my dead body. Barr said the very idea that Trump would move Patel into the role of FBI director showed a shocking detachment from reality. Spoiler alert, in 2024, Bill Barr voted for Donald Trump. Patel's confirmation hearing was a farce. His scheme was obvious. He was trying to assure senators that he shouldn't be judged by his words and actions over the past decade. Instead, judge him by vague assurances and empty promises of integrity and independence. No one should be fooled. The scenario I outlined at the beginning of this column is a live possibility if Patel is confirmed. I can remember the days when the Republican Party claimed to be the party of the American Constitution. I remember when the phrase constitutional conservative was a means of describing one's commitment to the high ideals of the American founding, like slavery and the slaughter of Native Americans and the fact that women couldn't participate in anything or have checking accounts. Those ideals. One of those ideals is the separation of powers, including granting the Senate an independent advise and consent power, which gives it the ability to evaluate and reject the president's nominees. Patel was nominated for one reason and one reason only. He is one of Trump's most zealous loyalists. There is no case to be made for Kash Patel. It would be bad enough if he were merely obsequious and subservient. See, there's a word that I love that you don't hear every day, obsequious. Passively compliant to Trump's demand. But Patel is aggressively subservient, or as some might describe, a power bottom. He seeks to pursue Trump's enemies. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Every Republican senator who votes for Patel is abdicating his or her constitutional responsibility. And for what? To please a lame duck bully? To protect their right flank in a primary? Bingo. It took immense courage to create our constitutional republic, and now immense cowardice is placing our system of justice under threat. Fuck Donald Trump, and fuck you for voting for him, and fuck every member of the Senate who votes for any of his cabinet nominees. Have a great afternoon. Please click the link in the link tree in my bio and subscribe to my YouTube page. It's free because TikTok's still going away in 2 months. Have a great weekend.